Hi there, I'm Peter Millard and this is my 10-minute workshop on this channel. I make short videos of around 10 minutes or so on woodwork projects, some client work, the occasional product review and handy hints and tips like this one. And if you're new here, you might want to consider subscribing, then you'll be notified when I post something new. In this video I'm talking you through a spreadsheet that I use for calculating cut lists for cabinets, doors and bookcases. Honestly, it doesn't get better than that, does it? We've got all that coming right up after the jingle. Going to be stuck in my head all day now, that. I mentioned in one of my other videos, I think the TV units, that I use a spreadsheet for, and have done for a long time, for calculating sort of cut lists for carcasses and bookcases and that kind of thing. And there's quite a lot of interest in that. I've sort of rejigged it. It was in Excel originally, then it was in Numbers, and I've rejigged it to work in Google Docs Sheets, Google Sheets, and I'm just going to walk you through it. This isn't a spreadsheet tutorial. I am absolutely the last person on earth to give anybody a spreadsheet tutorial, but I've used, this is something I've used for quite a while, and it's just to sort of run you through the process of what the calculations are doing on the document. So you've downloaded, you followed the link in the description, and you've got your copy of the single cab spreadsheet. It's a little workbook on Google Docs, Google Sheets, and it's going to look, when you open it up first, it's going to look something like this. In fact, let's make this full screen. There we are. That's better. First thing you get is a big sort of warning panel saying it's free, do what you want with it, but don't blame me. That's fair enough. We can select that and delete it. So the workbook is pretty simple. It comprises of two sheets, one called sizes and one called cut list. And it's when you open it up, what you see are a couple of sort of text boxes on the screen here. One says the grey filled cells are for your own dimensions quantities, e.g. cabinet height, width, depth, material or thickness. That's fairly obvious, they're for you to put your own numbers and quantities in. Another one a bit lower down says clear cells are calculations based on entries you make in the grey cells. That's right, they are full of formula which work out the numbers that you want based on the numbers you put into the grey cells. Again, good idea to work on a copy, of course, as always. So let's get rid of those, make the document a little bit bigger so that we can see it more clearly, or so that I can see it more clearly. And we've got three sort of areas here: single cabinet calculator, a panel door calculator, and a bit lower down a bookcase calculator. For the cabinet, grey cells, again, you put in the cabinet width, depth, height and thickness. That thickness is copied down for the sides, top and base and shelves. It gives you the option to vary the thickness of the back panel and also the option to have a flush door. There's nothing terribly complicated about any of this. If we look at the sides and top and the base, are just taken off the data you put in. The shelves are varied slightly. They're the same width as the cabinet width, but they're not quite as deep. I make my shelves 20mm slightly shallower, so that they sit back from the front of the cabinet, and the same goes for the bookcase as well. Again, if you want them to be the same depth, you can vary that formula. The back panel, again, I make that exactly the same size as the cabinet. If you want to put that into a rebate, or if you want to run it into a groove, you've just got to allow for that. Again, I don't know what size you've got in mind, so I'm not going to put something in to this sheet that is wrong. You've just, if you put a 10mm rebate on either side of the carcass, then you've got a plus 20 of the back panel. Simple as that. Gives you the option to do a flush door as well. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you prefer a panel door. Again, the flush door and the panel doors are exactly the same size as the cabinet, width and height. If you're using kitchen cabinet style concealed hinges, bloom hinges or whatever, typically you want the doors to be slightly smaller than that. I make mine the same height and just trim them back afterwards with the track saw, because it also gives me a chance to clean up the edges. If you want to make them slightly smaller, then by all means vary the formula as well. Oh, and also the shelves, just to go back to the shelves too, I've made the shelves the same width as the cabinet. If you're using shelf pins on rows of holes, obviously they need to be slightly slightly narrower. So again, you might just need to vary that by a few millimeters. With the flush door, you see in this level here, there's no entry in there at the moment, because again, most people tend to launch a panel door, not always. If you do, you'll see that the little hash number sign pops up. That's quite important, because those symbols are used to reference from the other Cutlist worksheet to bring across the data that that's necessary. So try and avoid editing anything in column C is what I'm getting at. But we won't do a flush door for now. So we'll move on to our panel door calculator. And again, this is fairly straightforward. The width and height are taken straight from the Carcass calculation, the cabinet calculation. You need to put in your rail and style depth, the thickness of the material you're using, and also the groove depth. The groove depth is important because it has an impact on how big the panel is going to be, fairly obviously. I've pre-filled these with typical dimensions that I use. They're grey cells, you can change them to whatever you want. And again, you've got the option to vary the thickness of the panel on this part of the worksheet as well. 6mm panel is fine for smaller doors. You might want a 9mm for a bigger door. And again, those calculations are just worked out based on the information that you put in. The one extra little bit down here, there's a calculation for the rail and style per door. That's just a simple sum of the length of the rails and stiles altogether, because I find it useful if I'm doing these doors. I get strips of 80mm strips ripped from a full-size sheet, so I just want to know, can I get a whole door out of a single rip, or do I need more than one? So obviously in this case 2652, you're not going to get that from a 2440 8-foot rip from a door, so you need more than one. It's just a useful little extra little bit that I find very handy. So again, we just moved down to the bookcase calculator, and again the width is taken from the cabinet. This is typical for sort of an alcove unit. You have a cabinet and a bookcase above it. Again, depth and height, I've put in typical dimensions of what I use, and again you can vary the thickness of the material, because you might want thicker shelves if it's a wider span. You just put in the obviously you need two sides, the top and base. Obviously in this you probably don't need a base because it's sitting on top of the cabinet. Other shelves, again the shelves are varied. They're set back slightly by 20mm from the depth of the actual cabinet. On the back panel, again, it's the same size as the bookcase Carcass. You get the option to vary the thickness of it. So that's the essence of this little spreadsheet. Let's just make it smaller so we can see the whole thing again. And once you've got all your details filled in there, you can, to be honest, you could work off this spreadsheet as it is, but there's a lot more information on there that you probably need. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to our cut list, and this just sanitizes the whole thing. It takes away a lot of the extraneous information data and just gives you the bits you need. The thickness and the dimensions and the number of pieces that you need cut. And again, there's a little text box in here to sort this sheet. Select any cell in column A, then data sort sheet. So literally any cell in column A, go to data at the top here, sort sheet column A, it's the top option. If you do that, it gives all your entries listed by panel thickness. So you've got all the 6mm together, all the 18mm together, and all the 22mm together. You've got space up here to put your name, your phone number, and a cut list reference. So you could print that out to give to somebody or email it to somebody nice and simple and straightforward. So there we are. It's a simple little spreadsheet. I've been using it for a long time. I hope you find it as useful as I do. If you've got any questions, again, I am absolutely not a spreadsheet tutor by any stretch of the imagination, but if you have any questions about them, put them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can answer them to the best of my ability. And if you are a spreadsheet guru and you think I'm doing something terribly wrong, please tell me, because as I say, I'm just making this stuff up as I go along. As I say, hope you enjoyed it, hope you enjoy the worksheet. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.